Okay. 1, 2. Some things in life can just set you back a little bit, you know, but there are things in life that can take your breath. In 1983, I was charged with a first-degree murder charge that I knew nothing about. The police officer that arrested me, John Dillman, he was consistent in trying to make me say something about the murder that I didn't know. We went to trial and I was found guilty, and I was sentenced to life in Angola State Penitentiary for a crime that I did not commit. In the early 90s, in the prison, I found out an old friend of mine, Isaac Napper, John Dillman was on both of our cases. And the lawyer who Isaac had found out that John Dillman had withheld evidence in this case, and he was exonerated. I wrote IPNO, Innocence Project New Orleans. IPNO took my case. The list of flawed cases that John Dillman's name popped up in began to grow.
We know that John Dillman has been involved in the wrongful conviction of John Floyd, Curtis Kiles, Isaac Napper, and Raymond Flanks. Each of them spent decades in prison for crimes they didn't commit because John Dillman went about investigating these cases in the most egregious way possible.
It was discovered that at the photograph lineup, John Dillman had told the eyewitness to pick me out of the lineup. This information was found in my records. Information that led to the most beautiful day of my life, which was my day of exoneration. I've done 38 years. It's a grave injustice.
John Dillman was one of the inspiration, I would say, for Llead. Llead is Louisiana Law Enforcement Accountability Database. We started this project when we saw that some of the same officers were causing misconduct in many of our wrongful conviction cases. We spent 3 years building this incredibly thorough and robust database with information about officer misconduct from across the state.
At the moment, we've collected data on over 500 departments and also on over 60,000 officers. For any interested party who want to do a comprehensive analysis of police misconduct across the state of Louisiana, it's very exciting.
At Vera Institute of Justice, we're really focused on evidence-based solutions to the social costs of policing. Police officers wield an enormous amount of power, and that type of power can't just go unchecked. Communities really need to be able to hold that power accountable.
Transparency is very important in law enforcement. We are trusted to really impact people's lives. When you look at not having that knowledge of what someone has done, could have done, and now we're sending them into someone's home.
We have seen in Louisiana that officers who are fired because of misconduct and violence and racism are actually not decertified. And without the transparency, officers continue to move around and continue their same misconduct. And so a database that has that data around what police officers are doing that we can look at and we can think about and bring to our community partners is extremely helpful.
Our initial analysis of the data tells us that officers who have engaged in misconduct are moving between departments fairly easily. So as you enter Llead.co, the first thing you see on the landing page is a migratory map. This map details all of the officers that we are able to track with 100% confidence as they move between departments so far.
Everyone could use it. You don't need a password, you don't need a login, you just type in the website and you're on. The public defenders have used Llead. Certainly journalists have used Llead.
A lot of times the reasons why things like police brutality or corruption, these things happen is because they happen in the darkness. And to have sort of a one-stop shop where you can find out not only an officer's disciplinary record, but their previous employment, it's just incredibly useful. It's very easy to use. You put in an officer's name, you can put in an agency's name, you can see the trail that they have taken if they've moved from agency to agency, and if they do have a disciplinary record or complaints against them.
We should have had a national database a long time ago. It would have protected innocent lives. We probably wouldn't have incidents like George Floyd, incidents like we had in Baton Rouge, Minnesota, and New York, where especially police officers who had questionable backgrounds would not have had the ability to take their resume and their actions to another community.
We have talked to law enforcement officers about using LEAD as a management tool. When they're making lateral hires, they should look at LEAD and see if there's a history that is concerning to them.
I think it's important for us to have access to that information so that we can feel comfortable, so that our public can feel comfortable. Then that will elicit trust, and when we get that trust with our communities, then that helps us to really do things like solve crimes, reduce crimes.
There is some saying around sunlight being the best disinfectant, and having a database that tracks what is happening with officers helps us make better decisions for our communities.
We're just sitting on potentially a mountain load of data that can be used to transform the criminal justice system, and I think that's what makes this project so exciting.